Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to the Little Reader's house. I'm the Little Reader, and you, my sweet friend, are in my house. If it's your first time, please know that you are welcome, loved, and adored here in the house. And it's always open. There's a transmission every day. We read energies, we talk to spirit, we look at tarot cards, we meditate, we breathe, we do Reiki, if you can do Reiki. We stare at one another, we have fun. We enjoy the moment. And if you're old here, beautiful soul, you're not new at all. You're a subscriber, a regular in the house, silent or non-silent, commenting down below. You're so appreciated. All those things and even more, because the residual buildup of your energy, however it appears, is felt by me and is appreciated by me. So welcome one and all. Get cozy, get comfy. We've got a crystal, of course, to help ground in the vibes. It is bloodstone. Little bloodstone piece there. And we're going to do what we do. We're going to channel in spirit, but the topic, in a twist of fate, is predetermined. It's building up on a theme that, if you've been witnessing a pattern, you will have witnessed here in the house, having to do with enlightenment, the present moment, the perfection of that moment. Finding oneself not as a separate individual, but as the entire moment as a whole. All of these themes have built up, and now we're here for this kahuna of a transmission. Maybe it's a kahuna or maybe it's very small, but it feels to the little reader, the small channeler before you, humble indeed. It feels. So let's go. Free will does not exist. You read the title, beautiful soul. Maybe that's why you're here. But how can that be? How can it be? So Spirit, take us home. How can it be? Because the we that we're referring to doesn't exist. So how could free will exist? But make it practical, Spirit, if you don't mind. Because that's all well and good. It's all very esoteric. Oh, well, I don't exist. Well, if I slap myself, it hurts. So, you feel me? Let's get real. Let's get real. Okay. All right. What we call ourselves. Yes, it is real. It is dense. It is form. We're here in the third dimension, beautiful soul, or so I've been told. I can slap myself, doesn't feel great. I mean, more on that offline, but I can abuse or pleasure the physical body. I feel things from that. I perceive things from that. Sensory perception, smell, taste, even emotional perception, feelings here in the heart. Mental perception, certainly. Thoughts. Thousands of them pass through this realm every day. So yes, I can perceive this form. I can perceive this mind. I can perceive this heart. What am I? And that's where Spirit would like a word. Oh, literally just a single word. Divine. The true you is the light that animates your vessel. It animates the mind, it animates the form, it animates the heart. And when it leaves, all the physical components of you will be left lifeless. Here, in the third dimension. You'll take yourself with you. That's the premise that we operate with around here, the Little Reader's house. So it's relevant to explain that premise. You are the light within the form, the light of consciousness, the light of awareness, different religions, different cultures, different sets of beliefs across the globe, if you believe in a globe. Call it different things. But ultimately, you are source, and source is you. That is not the you that Spirit is referring to when it says that free will does not exist. The you that's being referred to is your form. It's your mind. It's even your heart. These are all programs, these are all patterns. And according to Spirit, which exists without time, and from a perspective where cause and effect are one rather than separate, the game's already played out. All decisions have already been made. The beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, done. Of course, we don't perceive things this way. So how is it a game changer to say that free will doesn't exist? That changes nothing. That's not relevant to me. But it is. Because Spirit is looking at the aspect of you that believes your decisions matter. If you are identified with the form, which we all are, fight me. If you are identified with the mind, which we all are, let's go. Let's go. If you are identified with the heart, which would be wonderful if more of us were, but on a certain level we all are, then we believe that our decisions matter. We believe that we're making decisions. We believe we're in control of the simulation to a certain degree. We'll say to one another, I could kill you right now. That's free will, man. Free will in action. I could kill you right now. But you won't. It's not likely anyway. Unless it's part of your patterns. You see, this form is the echo of a pattern that started at the inception of humankind. And it's echoing through time. We call that ancestors. We call that previous generations. Different iterations of light, all with a mission, all precious. And interestingly, according to Spirit, all of those patterns will fulfill their purpose, even if they're left unattended to. All patterns eventually lead to consciousness, which is the moment that patterns stop being patterns. They wake up. No one wants to admit that they're a pattern. No one wants to admit that when they're in the game, they're identifying as the character, not the player. The mind in particular wants you to believe, beautiful soul, that you're in control. That your decisions are affecting something, that when you weigh out pros and cons, or when you decide what to eat for a meal, the mind wants you to believe that that outcome wasn't already predestined. How does the mind convince us of this? It's not a very good, no offense to the mind. We love you, beautiful mind. But the mind is limited. The mind is a very small aspect of the human experience. So when we watch the mind, we become aware of its smallness. And that's what we're about to do, but with respect. The mind's grand plan for convincing you that you have control is by saying, well, you decided. You can decide. You have the ability to decide. You can decide how you're going to live. And the mind backs that up by saying, see, there's a thought process before every decision. You thought about it. That's what makes a well thought out decision versus a not thought out decision. But to Spirit, in terms of patterning, whether someone thinks a lot or thinks a little, whether they pay attention to their thoughts or act impulsively, it's all patterning. It's all patterning. So we, as the characters in the game, say, but I thought that out. I thought it out, like I thought about it. I decided, I weighed options, and I made a choice. Spirit's saying, you used the mind. You thought thoughts. How can anything that originates from patterns, which the mind does, it's the half-formed version of reality, just shy of dense form. How could a mind, which arises from the patterns of the body, genetics, substances ingested, trauma, experiences, do anything original? So even if you thought thoughts, oh my goodness, you thought thoughts, and then you acted, how does that mean you chose? How does that mean that your decision was not predestined? How does that mean that what you selected wasn't what your patterns were just going to inevitably land on anyway? How can something that's just a fragment of the totality of the human experience, which the mind is just a piece, oh hey, like this one hair right here, thanks. How can something so small put you in control? Free will does not exist. It does not exist as long as we're identifying as the character versus the player. The player is the divine. That's what Spirit believes we are. I use the word believe loosely. But we're playing as the character. We're in the game, thinking we've got free will. When every quest has been predetermined, from will you snooze your alarm or not, to will you get married or not, to what career path will you choose or not, to will you commit violence against another human being or not. All patterned. Whether we choose to punish people for acting out on their patterns or not, also a pattern. Pattern v. pattern. When it comes to the game, according to Spirit, according to the divine, it's done. It's finished. Predestined, preordained, all of it, the game. And all of it if we're living as the character. But what if we did switch to the player perspective? What if, for the shit of it, we started doing something crazy like meditating, like a practice in which we begin to shift our awareness, that which we are, our light, our divinity, out of the mind, into, say, another realm like the heart, or into a realm like the form, a practice of embodiment. Or if we wanted to get really wild, into consciousness watching itself. The most powerful practice of all, and the simplest. The key to immediate enlightenment. Slipping into the witness perspective in the present moment. Surrendering to everything exactly as it is. And witnessing that. It's as if you're playing a video game and suddenly the character doesn't respond to what the movement on the controllers is anymore. Instead, the character, let's say it's third person, puts down their weapon, turns around, and looks through the screen at you. And it sees you. And you see it. What happens after that? I'm not allowed to say. I don't even know what would happen for you. I'm just here. I'm just channeling, baby. That's for you to find out. And Spirit makes a big deal out of ensuring that I say that there's no rush to wake up. There's no rush to shift from character to player. Every single being, every element of the light will return to the light. All patterns will evolve into consciousness. It's the nature of the game, and it's already done. In practical terms, what realizing you have no free will does for you in your everyday life is release you of guilt. Release you of the obsessive need to control. Release you of judgment of others. Release you of the belief that you are limited to the character in which your consciousness found itself. It saves you. It's a salvation that saves you from a very limited POV. But it's also your destiny, so don't rush it. Whether you choose to operate under the notion that you have free will or not, you'll be choosing perfectly. You see? You can't mess this up, beautiful soul. There's no way. It's all perfect. And so are you. That's where we're leaving it today. I am sending you all the love I've got, beautiful soul. Always more. Never less. You are so very worthy of it. Bye. Just for now.